Hi guys, this is Irene and this is Adroit Architecture. Welcome back to our channel. Today we have a very interesting episode for you. We're going to be answering a question that we get a lot, and I'm joined by our architect, our lead architect and the CEO of Adroit Architecture.
This is David Chola.
Karibu sana. Thank you for joining us today.
It's wonderful to be here, Irene.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in today's video, we're going to answer this question that we get all the time. People are always asking us, should I build a Maisonette or should I build a bungalow? So many guys find themselves in that place and they are wondering what the best thing to do is.
Correct. Well, it's a pertinent question because many people who are interested in developing sometimes comparing the factors that, things like cost, the space they have available for their building. Then they want to get what is the best way forward for me to get the solution for my housing.
Yeah.
So it's a very pertinent question. Someone needs to know whether a bungalow would work for them, or maybe they go the Maisonette way.
Both plans work.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you want and the different factors that are going on in your household and all that. Yeah.
Correct.
So let's just take the Maisonette and go through the advantages and the disadvantages that are there, if there are any.
Yes.
So what are these advantages that a Maisonette offers you?
Okay. Well, I'd say a Maisonette, for one, you're able to achieve you're able to achieve the correct usable area within the smallest footprint possible.
So you're using less land generally.
You use less land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in case you have a situation where you have a small piece of land,
Yes.
that is a big factor to consider.
Yes.
And that would make you go for a Maisonette.
It definitely points to a Maisonette. Yeah. You see, the plinth area, which is the footprint of your building, is determined by the kind of space that you're going to require on the ground floor. But when you have a Maisonette, you're able to stack up spaces on top of each other.
Yeah.
So what that allows you to do is that when you use your vertical space, you are able to have a smaller footprint.
Yeah.
And definitely that favors a Maisonette in terms of when you're working with a smaller piece of land.
Okay.
In this case, we are looking at land at the size of about 1/8 of an acre. Many people are talking about 50 by 100.
Many people are talking about 40 by 80.
People are even as little as 30 by 60.
30 by 60, yeah.
Yes.
So the smaller your piece of land is,
Yes.
the more that gives you consideration
Definitely
for a Maisonette.
points
Yeah?
you towards a Maisonette.
Okay.
Yes.
The next advantage of building a Maisonette is that
Well, I would say another thing that favors people going for Maisonette is the whole issue about security.
Okay.
Many people feel a bit more confident placing their more private rooms on the first floor level.
Yeah.
And because of that vertical separation, where the rooms are higher up and a bit harder to access.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to reach, but it's harder to access. So it's easier to secure when you're on the first floor level. So
you have fewer doors and fewer windows that are reachable, that are easily reachable.
Exactly.
So you feel like your house is a bit more secure.
Correct.
When you're building a Maisonette. Yeah.
Correct. So that's a definite plus.
That's a definite plus.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3, I would say that when you're building a Maisonette, you have a good separation between your private spaces and public spaces.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Because your bedrooms are upstairs and those are your private spaces.
Yes.
And downstairs you have your living areas.
Correct.
So like when you get visitors, they can be downstairs and that is okay.
Yes.
But your private spaces remain private.
Yes.
And there's an easier way to demarcate your private and public spaces.
Correct. That aspect is called the privacy gradient in our design work, and being able to place your rooms such that they are able to flow from the more public spaces into the less public, that's more private spaces. Having that kind of gradation actually allows the flow of the house to feel better.
Yeah.
So that's a big plus. That Maisonettes help you to achieve that quite well using the vertical separation.
Yeah.
I need to mention one of the biggest advantages that you get with a Maisonette is the fact that you're able to harness views
Yeah.
as a result of the height of the rooms above ground.
Yeah.
You see, when you have that scenario where your rooms are up on the first level, you're able to view spaces. You're able to view the outside, the landscape beyond what you'd normally see on the ground floor level, even beyond your plot.
Yeah.
Which has many advantages, both just pleasantness of views,
Yeah. And
helps
if you're
out.
building somewhere where you have, all over the great views, you can take advantage of that.
Great.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, it also helps the man of the house keep security over there. They're able to see what is happening
Right
beyond.
up to the gates.
Yes. So it's just something that is worthwhile.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So the advantages we have here is that they occupy less of your land. If you have a small piece of land, it is easy to separate your public and your private spaces.
Yes.
Maisonettes will also feel more secure
Yes.
than bungalows.
Yeah.
And of course, you can be able to harness on your views
Yes.
around your property.
That's correct.
So what are the disadvantages that you get with Maisonettes?
Well, one of the key disadvantages with a Maisonette versus a bungalow is that it's a little bit more expensive to build.
Yeah.
I think that's the first
biggest,
thing that we need to mention.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is the cost of creating space stacked on top of the other means you have to build a slab.
A slab, yeah.
And while it's true, you're reducing on your foundation, because now what you're doing is you're taking out what was on the ground level, what was spreading on ground level, and you're taking it and placing it one on top of the other. So you're changing your foundation.
Your foundation
ground
has to be
floor slab,
strong enough, to be able to carry those floors.
That too. But so what you're reducing on your foundation and your ground floor slab, as well as the roof, is what you're also going to balance with what you're creating on the first floor. In terms of, you have to create a slab there, a suspended slab with all the beams and all the supports that are required for it to go to the first floor. Then of course the roof that's going to be above that.
Yeah.
So at the end, when you do the differential, you may find maybe for similar sized homes, you may find a difference of about 15-20% of a difference. Again, depending on the specifications you come up with.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, another big disadvantage that comes with a Maisonettes is, of course, movement. Staircases and all that, going up and down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of people find that becomes a challenge. Either it's a challenge, you're disabled, or you have somebody who's disabled who's living with you, or maybe later on in life, as you grow older.
We all want to grow older. We want to reach there.
We want to reach there and get older, but then those staircases can now become something that you don't want to contend with.
That's true.
So that's something important to consider.
That's true.
Who are the people who are going to be living in that home? Are they physically challenged?
Yes.
And what are their ages? Are you going to live here until you're much older?
Yes. We often advise our clients, because of that concern of what happens in the older age if you have a staircase. Sometimes we encourage them, make sure you invest on a ground floor bedroom that can end up becoming the master later on in the day. But that is a definite disadvantage that you'd face with a Maisonette. Absolutely. Yes.
Now let's go to the bungalow. Let's take a look at the advantages that you get when you build a bungalow.
Yes.
The first one I would say would be cost.
The flip side from the Maisonette.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to build.
It's cheaper to build.
It's quicker to build.
Okay.
When you have you're basically going to do your foundation, maybe a bit wider, but it will take us not too long to do. Then you do your ground floor slab, and your walls go up to the lintel level, and boom, you put a roof, and your structure is complete. You start now dealing with your finishes.
So the next advantage of building bungalow is the fact that if you have land, then you're not constrained and you can build it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're able to have a lot of space with which to spread your building. Then you have many. There's a great opportunity for you to be able to, to just lay everything on the ground, and that also leads to ease of movement.
Yes.
Especially we mentioned about the handicapped user, or someone
when you're advanced in age.
Yeah. You're able to access every part of the house without a problem. So that's a very big positive.
I think it also works for younger families where they have smaller children. You feel like in a bungalow you can keep tabs with what is happening in your house. You could be cooking, but you're seeing the children, what they're doing. Their bedrooms are not too far and all that. Just ease of movement.
Correct. It makes a big difference. Absolutely. Now, one of the biggest advantages that bungalow has compared to a maisonette is the ease with which you can build in phases. The fact that everything is on one level allows you to be able to build incrementally. You're able to even start off. You have to have a master plan in mind, but you're able to now add rooms strategically with the necessary circulation to make them work. So you can start with a 2-bedroom house, and then it keeps on expanding till you can even have a pretty large house. And if you think about it, some of our estates that were designed back in the 70s and the 80s were built with that kind of mindset, whereby it will, because of budget constraints, you start with a small home, but then it is done in a way that later on, should someone be able to have a stronger, financial backing, they can be able to expand as their family grows. So it's a very, very big advantage of the bungalow space. So definitely, if someone is going for a starter home and they have enough land to go with it, start with a bungalow which you can be able to expand. Yes.
So this is especially true because we get this question a lot for people who have a limited budget.
Yes.
I only have 1 million shillings. What kind of a house can I build?
Great.
You can start with that 1-bedroom, knowing that maybe years to come, as you get more money, you can add the other rooms that you want, and at the end you can end up with a very big house, and it's much easier to add to a bungalow.
That is true.
Very
true.
Okay.
Very true. Yes.
What are then the disadvantages of building a bungalow?
Well, the merits of the bungalow kind of, what do you call it? They are inverse to what's happening on the Maisonette, and it's the same way.
With the disadvantages.
One is a bungalow will require more land to build. And that's the biggest thing. The land is expensive. So by the time you've got your 50 by 100 and you're going to put on a house of, say, 200 square meters, half of that land is gone.
That land is covered.
You hardly have space around the house to be able to do your gardening and your landscape and so on. So that's a big negative.
That's the biggest negative.
In fact, I personally recommend, this is just an opinion though, I recommend that if you have a minimum of an acre, not of an acre, of a quarter of an acre, then you can be able to go for a bungalow. Below that, it's not so prime to go for that, unless your budget is a big issue. Then now
the issues of security. Your windows, your doors are fully accessible.
And especially your children's. Sometimes that for parents that becomes a big issue. That are my kids safe on the other corner of the house? Sometimes you almost want to have them in a place where they can't be reached, so that you don't have to.
You offer
so that is one issue. Then
we talked about views. So now views become a disadvantage here. You cannot harness the views properly of the entire property and even the surrounding views.
Surrounding views especially. Because once you have your boundary wall or your hedge around your property, then you're at ground level, you can't see what's happening outside. One thing that is important to point out is that building a bungalow may not always be the best solution or the cheapest solution, depending on the ground that you're building on.
Okay.
You see, if you're going to build on a place where you have, say, deep black cotton soil, so that will mean that the cost of your foundation may need to be enhanced.
It will be very expensive.
You end up spending much more at your ground and below ground.
Yeah.
So spreading the building in that case
It
can
becomes too
become
expensive.
more expensive than
Yeah.
if you went for a solution where everything is in a smaller footprint. Yeah. So that can be
So
actually
you also need to take into cognizance your land, and
Yes.
especially issues to do with black cotton soil.
but poor soils
Poor soils.
can result in a higher building cost.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another disadvantage that we have a lot with bungalows is the fact that people can see you, especially if you're surrounded by people who have built, maisonettes, and you're the only one in a bungalow.
Yes.
That means they have a bird's eye view into your property. You're
Yes.
not able to see outside, but those who are outside and
Yes.
they're higher than you
Yeah.
are able to look into your property and see everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
That can be a bit of a
That can happen.
downer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can happen.
Especially with the small lots and the pieces of land that people have.
You'll feel like you're living in a valley when there are mountains around you. So
Yeah.
it's not so nice.
It's something to
It's
consider.
not so nice, yes. But definitely, if you're out in the country, in the countryside, and you have the space and the grounds for it, hey, go for it.
Yeah.
So it's very appropriate.
Okay.
Yes. So, well, before you make the choice on whether you want to build a bungalow or a maisonette, you need to make consideration of those points. Think about the land that you have. The size of your land is vital. Smaller land will definitely favor the maisonette. If you have lots of land, think about the bungalow. Look at your budget. If indeed your budget can be able to support whichever one, may go for the one that fits your pocket. Then make sure you think about your ground conditions, because that has a big impact on the costs that you'll spend on the ground level vis-a-vis now the entire building. And then from there, what is your preference? Do you want to live on the upper level? Do you want to live on the ground level? Think about how long you're going to be in that house. If you're planning to be a retirement home, do invest in some space for yourself on the ground floor level. It will make a big difference later on. Yep.
Yes, and that is what we had for you today. We have taken a look at the maisonette and the bungalow, and we've tried to answer all the questions that we keep getting every single day. My name is Irene, and this is David. We are Adroit Architecture. If you need any consultancy services or project management services in the construction industry, you know who to get in touch with. We've provided our contact details, our email addresses down below. Get in touch with us. Thank you for joining us for this video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with anyone who might need it. Asanteni sana. We will see you in our next video. Bye.
Good.